Welcome to Innerji, yoga and well-being for modern life, for everybody, every person. Hi, I'm Lesley Levy and welcome to this week's audio cast. And this week we're going to look at something a little different. We're going to look at the art of reading faces. I trained with Herman Muller back in 2005 to gain a diploma of teaching in psychosomatic therapies, and putting that into plain language, it's about reading the face and the body. Not just the face and the body, but also the hands and the feet. But today I'm going to focus on face reading, because our face tells our story. It tells us our history. It tells us who we are now. It helps us to better understand ourselves, where we can understand the structure and shape of our face, plus all the little subtleties of lines on the face, the colour of our eyes, for example, the shape of our mouth, our chin. All of these structures shape who we are. And when it comes to communication, interestingly, 55% of communication is body language, is what we see in front of us. 38% is the tone of voice that we use, and only 7% is verbal. So reading faces is a wonderful way to understand how a person is feeling, thinking, how they communicate, and what their personality and character is like. And this can certainly help with our communication style. It also helps in better understanding ourselves, helping us to delve more deeply into our own unconscious being or subconscious being through the shape and structure of our face. So to give you some examples, a person who has more of a rectangular shaped face, in other words, their face is longer rather than wider, these people are more dignified. They're quite pleasant in personality, and they have a tendency to have quite high ideals. And they're very determined and strong, and they stand up for what they believe in. They're very thoughtful people, and they have great vision. And they also have the desire to uphold the law and look after the rights of others. They're very strong humanitarians, people with rectangular shaped faces. They're also quite highly intellectual, and they're generally people who can rise to high positions in life. They're optimistic as well. And they have very good qualities concerning their sense of self-balance in terms of their pride and their ego. Whereas someone who has a round face is more warm and affectionate. They're quite easygoing and gentle. They're very friendly and supportive, and they like to help others around them in need. They have quite a changeable nature, though, someone with a round face. They can get quite easily bored, and they're a person who needs a lot of encouragement as well. On the more negative side, they can take the least line of resistance, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes not so much. Whereas a person with a square face has high physical energy. They're a very earthy personality. They're practical, they're well-grounded. A person with a square face is more of a person who likes to do things than to think about things. They like to get in there and get things done. They're quite broad-minded, and they usually have a strong muscular body, and they have a tendency to sort of shoot first and ask questions afterwards. But they are lovely, sociable people, very practical, and this is the person you go to when you want a little bit of practical help, say in moving that piece of furniture, for example. So that's the idea around the different face shapes. There are other face shapes that we can look at too, but that gives you a little bit of an example today. The other thing we can look at when we're face reading is lines, whether lines are going downwards. So for example, if someone in their mouth and their mouth droops down, then they're perhaps going through a bit of a sad time, or maybe they're a person who's more prone to depression, because the shape we are in reveals the shape we are in inside. And the face is one of the most mobile parts of our body in terms of expressing how we feel, how we think, and expressing our ability to communicate in who we are. So straight lines are generally people who are straightforward. Rounded lines, then there's a bit more of give, a little bit more flexibility and adaptability in that type of person. So there is so much involved in face reading. We also look at the colour of the eyes. For example, a person with blue eyes is quite a compassionate person. Usually a lot of healers have blue eyes, and they tend to want to be helpful to others. People with brown eyes are very warm. They're very open and outgoing people generally. People who are stressed, you can see it in their eyes. When people are very stressed, you can usually see the whites around the eyes. The iris doesn't fill the entire eye. For example, when the irises are showing that you've got 3 areas of white of the eyeball around the eye, this person is extremely stressed. People who have deep set eyes that are set back into their head, they're usually deep thinkers, and they like to take time to think before they act. Whereas people who have eyes that are more protruding, closer to the surface, they're more inclined to be more instinctive and think before they act. They're also more open, and they're also more easily influenced than people who have deep set eyes. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into the art of face reading. I actually I'm reintroducing face reading. I'm doing it distance via email. And also, if you are in Canberra or Queanbeyan, I'm offering face-to-face, excuse the pun, face readings as well. Let me explain what happens in a face reading, because I guess it could seem quite confrontational and taking you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but it really isn't that way. For me, coming to you as a face reader, I just gently observe your face. I do it without judgment, and I do it with compassion and an open heart, because we all have our foibles and our things and our personality that we live with in this journey through this life. So what I do is I gently observe your face and tell you what I see. So for example, I might say something along the lines of, I notice that your face is somewhat rectangular. This tells me that you're a person who cares about other people and that you think things through. You have very high values, but you're willing to stand up to them and stand up for others as well. You have these beautiful dark blue eyes, which tells me you're a person of deep compassion. And blending that with your humanitarian outlook from the shape of your face tells me that you're a deeply caring person who likes to put others first. So that gives you a little bit of an example of how I might read your face or read a person's face. I would then look at things at the size and the shape of a person's nose, their ears, the size and shape of their mouth, their chin, so many different aspects, and from that I prepare a recorded report. So if it's face-to-face, I record as we're talking so you can take that home with you. And I also give you photos of your face so that you can see what I'm talking about when I do a face reading for you. If I'm doing a face reading by email, I will ask you to send a couple of photos of yourself with your hair pulled back off your face so that I can see your hairline and all your features. So there will be one photo face on, and there'll be another photo in profile so that I can see the side of your face as well. And from that photo or photos, I then record a report for you on what I see in your face, and then I email it to you. So I hope that little bit of face reading is of interest. I will talk about face reading and body reading and hand and feet reading as we go through these audio casts over the coming weeks and months. But if you are interested in having a face reading with me, either in distance or in person, I invite you to go to my website at www.innerji.com.au, and that's Innerji spelled INNERJI. I hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, namaste.